Hello. I'm gonna do a deck profile for a deck I've been having a lot of fun with at my locals. I'm gonna preface this by saying this is not like a super competitive deck. I would not bring this to a regional, but I just go to locals, so I've been having a lot of fun playing it. Sprite is like a little boring, so I want a little spice for it. So we'll just start with some of the ratios. The Sprite stuff is very basic. We got three blue, three jet. These are maybe the most broken cards in the deck. These cards are really fucking dumb. they they're like way too generic and way too easy to get advantage with. One carrot, one red. I've considered playing some more of these, but I haven't tried it. Sometimes you just like don't open enough level sprite stuff and dinosaur stuff, but we'll get into that later. Beaver. This card is crazy. It's the best level 2 normal summon. Angler. A lot of the dinosaur lines lead you to making Sprint to do sprite stuff, so you have to play this. I mean, this card is insane. It just does the whole sprite combo if you can send it. You play swap. Uh, this is really good just because Toad is crazy. It is not mandatory to play this engine. You can definitely play this without this and just play like a generic sprite build where you just want to get like elf IP and like one of the spells or traps for your back row. But triple toad is like unbeatable for a lot of decks. So one smashers, one double cross. A lot of people don't play double cross. I think this card is insane. I don't know why you wouldn't play it. I cited out going second a lot, obviously, but I mean this card is fucking nuts. It lets you like make them waste their battle phase because they'll like go to battle, try to beat over the toad. It lets you triple toad. It lets you dodge called by. Not that a lot of people are on called by right now, but like it still lets you do it. You can also, if you get dark rulered with this card, if you have toad, if you think one toad will still beat their board or their plays, you can chain the toad to the next thing they activate, get your beaver back, and then use this to summon your toad back onto your elf. And then you have the toad negate again, and you get the toad follow up from your graveyard. I haven't seen a lot of other people do that. It has won me a lot of games. Three starter. This is unbelievable card. I don't know why this card is still at three. It's at one in the OCG for obvious reasons. This is literally E-tally into a double or triple toad with like a double toad with the smashers or a triple toad. Like this card is ridiculous. Starting with the small dinosaurs, two Animadormed. Put the sprite stuff aside for now. I was playing one. I'm trying two for now. You can very easily just play one. You don't draw this and pill often enough that like you like brick on them because they're like at one each. We'll talk about that later. But right now I'm trying to. You don't usually want to have to normal summon this. You want to summon it off Misk, but it is what it is. One Coleslaw. So this card's really interesting in this deck. One of the things that Sprite has a weakness for is if you like pop their normal summon or like get their first level 2 off the board, it can be hard to recover from. But this card just specials itself. So at the start of your turn, you can just go special Coleslaw, and now you have a level 2 on board to play with that you didn't use your normal for or starter. They can't be used for link material if you do that, but that's fine. You could just overlay it for gigantic. Or theoretically, you could play Herald of the Arclight for tier. Herald plus Avermax is an incredibly strong board. It's very hard for people to deal with, but I'm not doing that right now. I'm just playing it because you can search off Fossil Dig, start your Sprite combo with this, and it makes their life a lot harder. Three Baby. Not playing Petite because I'm not playing Lost World, so Petite won't come up very often. This is the best and worst card in the deck. You want to open one with either Amadormed or Misk or Ovi. Obviously, that's a Dinosaur classic. But, I mean, it is what it is. It's Baby Stegosaurus. I've had games where I just, like, normal summon this into Sprite combo, and my opponent, like, they had, like... I was playing against Hero once, and they had DPE Dark Law. I impermed the Dark Law, and I normaled this, and, like, he basically scooped because he was like, oh... I can't pop this or I just lose, and now you can just do Sprite combo. So the game was over. But that was more of like a funny occurrence than anything. It does like help round out the number of level 2s in your deck just to play Sprite cards, just by having 3 of them in here. You'll One thing about this deck is you'll never brick. I have bricked maybe once in like 100 games. You will always have a play of some kind. One misc. Maybe someday we'll get more of this guy. This card does not need to be at 1, but I don't know. It makes people mad, so it's whatever. One Giant Rex. This card is an important extender in Dinosaur. It helps you play through like Shifter really well because you play 3 Ovi, and say you get Shiftered, you go normal Ovi, send Giant Rex, he gets banished, and you summon him, and you can make a rank 4. Just a nice simple Dinosaur trick you might not know about. But he's also just like important for like link climbing occasionally, because like sometimes you might have to unicorn something, and you can like get 2 bodies on field with the Giant Rex, link them off for a 2, and the Giant Rex summons himself, and you go for 3 for unicorn to put back like a Dark Claw or something, like a Rucalis or something annoying like that. The big guys, we got one Pank. We're not playing Petite, so we're not summoning it off Petite, which makes it a little less good, but it's still Pankratops. It's crazy going second. You can summon it off Pill to deal with Floodgates and stuff like that. 2 UCT. I'm considering running this down to 1, but I mean, this is the best card in the deck. This is the greatest card ever printed, so I'm playing 2. The second one doesn't come up that often, but occasionally, like versus tier specifically, you like want to open this card sometimes because they might mill your graveyard in a way where you have just like a shitload of dinosaurs in your grave, and you just like summon him and you run over everything. A lot of good tier players won't let you do that, but sometimes you just like get away with it, and it is the most satisfying thing in the world. Now for our power spells, we got one Foolish. Your Foolish targets are Misk and Angler are the obvious ones. Sometimes there's lines where you'll send Giant Rex because you just need a body in graveyard, and it needs to be something that can't be DD crowed. So like you have like Ovi and like Baby on field somehow. This is a very rare occasion. This is like a simplified game state type situation. You'll send Giant Rex, and now they can't DD crow it. Three Prosperity. I hate drawing multiple of this card, but it's too good not to play. You have plenty of space in your extra deck to just go for 3 or 6. I usually go for 3, just because my hand is usually like good enough already that I don't need to go for 6 and like lower my follow-up. Well, these are not power spells. These are supposed to be in the dinosaur part. We got one Pill. There's only one of this in a 49-ish card deck, so the odds that you draw it and the Animadorm Pill stuff doesn't work is very low, but it also like shouldn't matter because it just shouldn't matter. 3 Fossil Dig, not once per turn Rhoda. This card is crazy. Everyone gets really mad when you open multiple of this card and they get tilted and it wins you the game instantly. The main deck going second cards, I'm playing 3 Fenrir. This card is crazy because it replaces itself. Obviously, it's got like the Pankratops effect where you can target banish stuff face down. It deals with floodgates. It's got a good body. But the biggest thing is that it just replaces itself. It specials itself for free. So it just lets you do sprite combos slightly more consistently without getting just wasting cards in your hand because it'll replace itself and you'll have the follow-up. 3 Imperm. This is the best generic hand trap right now. This card is unbelievably good because it's a great 6th card. It's great versus Tier. It's great versus Flu. It's good versus Sprite. I can't think of a single deck this card is bad against. This card is unbelievably good. And then 3 Ash. Just because I'm going to locals. I don't need to play a very specialized going second card. Now for the extra deck. The extra decks, it's like a pretty simple mix of like a dinosaur extra deck and a sprite extra deck. We have IP Avermax. This is a win con versus a lot of tier decks because they might not be playing an out, or their out might be too difficult to get to. Like a lot of their outs are like Borreload or Baron, and they run the Baron into the Avermax and negate his effect. But you can deal with that pretty easily by having like a Smashers or an Imperm set or something like that, or even just like a red or a toad. This also just beats a lot of other decks. Like if you're playing versus Sprite, it forces them to have to get to Smashers or deal with this somehow. This card is just insane. I am a huge fan of it. It makes your life so easy when you're playing against a deck where this is a win con. Too gigantic. This card is really, really good. Obviously, if you played against Sprite, it makes going for OTK super easy because it makes its body really big and it stops your opponent from floating into stuff or summoning Bystials in your battle phase. Mosquito? I'm not like totally sold on this card. It's usable. It has applications, like it outs Avermax because it's a non-targeting negate. It can force your opponent into a weird situation where they can't attack for game because they're too low. But mostly it's good for making Zeus, while being like a slightly better Skycav because it has that option to do the negate. Toad. This is the best Omni negate in the game. This card is fucking silly. You can triple Toad people, just go Toad, Elf, Toad, double cross, Toad. You get Beaver and Angler and a Swap Frog back in your hand to play with for follow-up, and you negated 3 things, and you probably took those 3 things. Not always, but unbelievable card. I'll come back to these. 2 Elf. So this card, if you don't know, is... Obviously, it's one of the best cards in Sprite. This card is really, really good in Dinosaur, too, because you can use it to resummon babies and either extend or like get extra resources off of your UCT activation. It also like obviously gives you the targeting protection. So like in Dino, the generic end board, it's like Elf, UCT, rank 4. Protected by this, and you get the follow-up from like popping a baby off of resummoning it. This card is just unbelievable in this deck. It's so good. If this gets Ghost Reaper, you are very sad. Sprind. This is the card that made Sprite like able to compete with Tier right now. If Sprite didn't have this card, they would be very bad right now, to be quite honest with you. They wouldn't be unplayable, but they would not be like very good. There are a lot of lines you can do with the dinosaur cards to get to this card. While also like not even using any Sprite cards, so like you can like bait out stuff to go into this and then just starter and play Sprite that way. It also, a lot of people don't know about its other effects. It can detach from an Xyz monster you control, which includes, it could be like one of the rank 4s you make with Dinosaur to bounce stuff, which is incredibly strong. That's super strong, especially in the mirror in quotes. Not that your opponent's playing Dinosaur Sprite, they're playing normal Sprite. Just bouncing their normal summon, very good. Unicorn helps deal with floodgates. Good IP target if Avermax isn't good. Like, say you're playing versus Exosister or Fluanderies, you can Unicorn the field spell or like their M-Pen. Not their M-Pen. You can Unicorn the field spell or like one of their small bodies back if you feel like you have to like make them have to extend further. Or like the continuous spell is a good target too. It's just an incredibly useful card. You're not always going to want to make Avermax with your IP, and this deals with a lot of annoying floodgates. Like if they anti-spell you, you can get rid of it with this. Linkaribo. This mandatory dinosaur card. It is the most mandatory dinosaur card because you need to get your Animadorb in the graveyard a lot of the time. I'm not playing Secure Gardna, which is another important dinosaur extra card, but you don't really need it that often. You play so many non-dinosaurs that you'll always have access to one for the pill. Logia. I almost never make this. I'm considering cutting it. Very rare that this comes up, but it's good enough to have if you're playing versus like a trap deck or Fluanderies. This card is actually super good against because you can negate the normal summon and then the bird goes to the graveyard and not the banish pile. So they can go like map, normal Rubina, and you can go Logia effect. It'll negate the Rubina normal summon, and the Rubina will go to grave instead of the banish pile because it was being sent from not the field. Dweller. It's the best card you can be making on any end board right now, just to beat tier. Dolka. This is the best dinosaur card ever printed. 2 monster negate and destroys, not once per chain. This card is crazy good. And then 1 Zeus. I'm not crazy about this card. I almost never make it. The only times you want to make it are, if say you're playing versus tier and you already wasted their trap, you go Dweller, activate Dweller, Zeus, clear the board, but that doesn't feel very good. Especially because you're already playing the best board clear monster in the game with UCT. I'm considering cutting this for Baguska, but that's a personal choice. And so yeah, that's the main deck and the extra deck. The side deck, I change this a lot. I'm always like looking to just try different things in the side. We're playing the Gamma package. Very strong. Not super good versus tier, but good versus literally every other deck in the game besides, Eldritch. But you have all the better things to be doing versus Eldritch. If you're able to do it on your turn, you just kind of win the game instantly because you can instantly make either a Sprint or an Elf to play with, or even just an IP. Very strong card. Obviously, it sucks to draw Driver, but at least you can use it for a double evolution pill and something. For the Bestials, we play 3 Magnamut, 3 Jewissworm. Magnamut is insane. Jewissworm's insane. I don't play Saronir because I don't have enough room in my side deck. And the card is kind of shit compared to these, so I'll just play the 6 of these. One cool thing you can do with the Magnamut is, this is like a pretty basic like Bestial Sprite thing, is like on your turn, you can summon the Magnamut, and then once you summon Swap, you can Swap effect put the Magnamut back in your hand. So you have 2 Bestials to play with on their turn, because you don't really need this on your board. It's just going to be sitting there doing nothing. So that's just a thing you can do. For the back row, we got 3 Lightning Storm and a Duster. And then the last card is just a Cyclone. I had 1 space left. I just put a Cyclone in. You don't want to have to deal with back row with Dinosaur. Like, you can deal with every monster on the board generally, but like if they flip, like, if they have an Imperm or Sulliek, not that you want a Lightning Storm Sulliek, but theoretically, you just want to be able to clear the back row and start playing the game. Cyclone, you can replace these first 3 Cyclones if you are more concerned with tier, because Cyclone's a lot better versus tier. Because if you Lightning Storm a Sulliek, they're just going to add Habness and just fuck you hard. But it is what it is. You could technically play Evenly Matched, but I am not a fan of Evenly Matched in Dinosaur because it's such a battle-focused deck. UCT is the best battle phase card in the game, so giving up your battle phase feels pretty terrible. But you could easily play it if you really wanted to play evenly. I'm gonna go over some of the Dinosaur combos now that can lead you into the Sprite combos. Obviously, we have Misk plus Baby. This is the classic. This is your best opener. If you open these and any Sprite cards, you probably win the game. So we're going to go Misk from hand, Misk effect. Summon your Animadormed. Animadormed effect, destroy the Baby. It's going to get you Pill, and then Baby's going to activate. It's going to summon Ovi. Ovi's going to activate. It's going to add another Baby. You're going to normal the Baby. Ovi, pop the Baby. Baby activates. You're going to summon Giant Rex. If Misk is ever back at 3 or 2, you would probably summon Misk here for follow-up, because you don't need the Giant Rex in this combo. The Giant Rex is more for playing around certain hand traps, but it's still worth having. So from here, you probably just make the Dolka to play around any other hand traps, or the Dweller, because you want to clear up your board space. But generically, against most decks, you make Dolka. Versus tier, you make Dweller, obviously, because it's the best card in the game versus them. So you make your Dolka. You make Linkuriboh. Ah! Okay, sorry. After that, you make Linkuriboh with your Animadorms. You just want to be able to get extra non-dinos in the graveyard, just in case something happens. And then you use these 2 to make Sprint, and then Sprint will send Angler, and then Angler will normal summon 2 Beavers, and then you make Gigantic, and you do from there whatever you need to do. If you want Toad, you can make Toad. If you just want Sprite cards, you can just get Blue. It's up to you. Depends what the rest of your hand looks like. And obviously, before you Gigantic, you want to pill for UCT or Pank. Generally, you want to make UCT. There's a lot of decks where UCT doesn't really do anything against. Like you're playing versus like Branded Bestial. You want Pank to be able to pop like the Field Spell or Branded Lost if they're playing that, or Regained, because UCT doesn't do that much against that deck. All right, so this line is very weak, but say this is your opener. You have OV and UCT. This is not very good. Say that it's this and 3 hand traps. You normal OV. You get Misk. Misk. You get Animadorms. Use his effect. You destroy the UCT. You get your pill. You need a non-dinosaur in your hand for this combo, I should also say. But if this is what your hand looked like, odds are you probably had one. So from here, you pill for these two. And you summon either the other UCT or Pankratops. We'll do Pankratops here just because you want the UCT in your deck. And you turn these two into... they're in the grave and not banished. IP. And then IP and OV into Sprint. This is obviously a terrible combo line, but it does get you the Sprite cards. This one is good to know versus like exactly like a deck like Branded Despia, where UCT does literally nothing, so UCT pass is not really going to help you. But having a double Toad or triple Toad, if you have, you know, double cross or a Sprite card left in your hand, will. So it's worth knowing, even if it's not very good, because it loses to every hand trap in the game, basically. I forgot to record this one while I was making the deck profile, but one of the classic dinosaur hands that bricks you is when you open Animadormed plus Misk. They don't actually do anything together, but when you're playing Sprite cards, there is a cool combo you can do. So you can normally Animadormed, activate it. If they hand trap this, you can chain the Misk to try and bait another hand trap, but you won't be able to destroy anything. It'll just bait another hand trap. It's extremely trying to read their hand and outplay them play, because you don't need the pill you get from this. But if they don't do anything, so you get the pill. And you link off for Linkaribo. This is just like a random dinosaur deck. I didn't remake the Sprite deck in Dueling Book. And then you banish 2. For Baby or Colsalat. And then you just make Sprint. And you go into your Sprite plays by sending Angler. This one is, it doesn't come up super often because they're both one-ofs, but it's a combo that does work and is, to me, very funny because, you know, it's one of the most frustrating things to open in Dinosaur is just Animadormed and Misk, and then you make your Gigantic here. You don't really want it in the AMZ. You detach, and you summon whatever, either Blue or Jet or Swap Frog, depending on what you want to go for. That's all. Before you activate Gigantic, you can also activate the pill here if you wanted to have the UCT or the Pankratops. Just banish those two. Another simple thing you can do. Sometimes I just hold the pill for follow-up. It depends what I'm playing against. So yeah, that's the deck. Thank you for watching. This deck is super fun. You get to really just like outplay your opponents with dinosaur cards, which you haven't really been able to do for a long time. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I love talking about this game. I love talking about dinosaur cards, and I like talking about these cards. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Goodbye.